Hello and welcome to another edition of Razor Wire Raw. Now, today we are going to talk about a subject matter that may cause me a little bit of problems on some of the platforms that we put this out on. But today we're going to be talking about cyber warfare and the reality of that situation as we are looking at both today and going forward in the future, because it's a discussion that we need to have. If you've been watching us for any length of time, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really matters a lot to us. We've had loads and loads of comments, loads and loads of people DMing me. And this is actually one of the things that I've been asked about by a number of different people who are in our industry and wondering what my thoughts are on it. Now, my views are just my views. Maybe you've got different sets of opinions. It'd be good to see, what your comments are on this particular subject matter. But I think we need to have that discussion because, let's face it, the world today is in a bit of a difficult situation. We've got a lot of wars going on at this moment in time. Everything's, a bit difficult in places like the Middle East. We're seeing, a dramatic effect with things like people's economies because of that. There's blockades going on and so on and so forth. That is all something we see in the news. What we don't see a lot in the news of is the subject matter of how wars are conducted in the modern time or how they're going to be conducted going forward. Now, I don't think this is going to be a massive revelation for anybody, but, I've been kind of involved in this space for a long, long time now, believe it or not. I've been part of the CSFI forum now for many, many, many years, and I even helped with their original cyber warfare framework research piece that they did a long, long time ago. Not a lot of people know that, but it's interesting because I still get to speak to people who are from that era of my life. And a lot of us have seen what we said back then start to come to fruition, even sort of like 10 years ago. Cyber warfare. Cyber warfare is going to be a reality for all of us. And it has been for a while now. It's not like it hasn't gone on, but with the current advancements in technology and the speed of that technology, we are seeing a lot more cybercrime starting to happen. Some of that is state-sponsored. Some of that is, organizations and groups for hire, be they illicit groups or be they semi-legitimate groups that have been paid by their government to assist is probably the best word in delivering some of the attacks or training people on how to deliver those attacks within the government, whatever government you're under. It doesn't really matter at this point in time. And I think, most of us are very well aware that, there are some key groups who, when things kick off, they start to undertake that kind of warfare, bringing down people's government websites, bringing down national infrastructure, affecting all kinds of critical parts of our economy and our world that we rely on. And that is going to happen a lot more often. And that is going to start happening at scale. And it already has been, in all honesty. If you look at, for instance, NIS2, the UK bill for critical infrastructure and all the kind of legislation that's coming out of, just say the Western world. Let's just look at that because that's where I currently reside. We are seeing a lot more fear and push towards frameworks that force utilities companies, banking institutions, critical infrastructure, and that kind of thing to at least apply a level of security that's appropriate to protect themselves from bad things happening, be it because of an active cyber warfare situation or whether or not, it's kind of like a quiet behind the scenes kind of build up towards that kind of thing. We've been seeing a lot of that recently in the various different things that have been going on around the world, which I won't mention because I will definitely get my video limited. Now we chuck things like AI into the mix. The ability to conduct this kind of warfare exponentially increases. Now, obviously, we've already done videos on the latest Anthropic release and the possibilities of that. That's been a very popular video, and I think a lot of people think that it might be hype. A lot of people think that it might be real. A lot of people are kind of sat there on the fence saying, well, let's just see. It's just detecting vulnerabilities. Well, it may well be now, but it probably won't be going forward. And you can bet your bottom dollar that there's every single government of any consequence on this planet who are looking to leverage that kind of technology in an offensive and a defensive manner going forwards. There's going to be a lot of money pumped into that particular area, and we'll see how that one comes out. And to be honest, we might not get massive amount of information at the moment on what's being done behind the scenes. But I mean, let's look historically. We have had governments who have used technology time and time again for, mass surveillance. We have had lots of rumblings in various different governments about, having back doors to get past encryption, to be able to get into people's messages, to be able to get into all kinds of things. And we've seen a lot of moves down that route, some of which I really don't agree with, because I think putting back doors into technology is a good example. Doesn't just give you access from government institutions, but it also gives you access from the other guys, the bad guys, who may or may not be in those institutions and leveraging what they know and so on and so forth to get in, using the same cyber warfare tactics which we've just been tangentially talking about. The unfortunate truth is cybercrime pays well, whether you want it to or not. And you're always going to get some what you think are good actors who are not so good actors. It has happened before in the past, and it will probably happen again. But we are seeing a situation where in future war situations where you're going to have whole hacking groups looking to take down power, water, affecting water treatment, for instance, is another one. Anything that can be considered as critical infrastructure is going to get targeted and is going to get hit. And unfortunately, and I'm going to be really, really honest here, there's a lot of organizations in that space and organizations who are third parties who deliver into that space, be they public or be they private organizations, depending upon where you are in the world, who don't take security particularly seriously. They don't see that it's an important part of what they do on a day-to-day basis. And this is why we end up with legislation like NIS2 is a good example, and the incoming UK equivalent, because companies just aren't doing what they should be doing. Or if they are, they're not doing it quite to the level that's required. If you're in one of your critical infrastructure company or a critical services company, or you are delivering services to those organizations, then you really need to take security seriously, not because of legislation, but because if you don't take it seriously, you're going to get taken down. Your organization is going to be ruined. Your reputation will be complete rubbish. And you're going to wind up in a really, really bad situation. Now, you could just do nothing. Go ahead, do nothing. But, this has an effect on members of the public. Let's look at water. Razorthorn is based in Tunbridge Wells. We have had 2 occasions now where we haven't had water for about a week each. No water treatment. There was problems. It wasn't anything to do, as far as I'm aware, with cyber warfare, but it just kind of goes to show how these systems that we rely on can easily get affected by something very, very simple. And we have absolutely no disaster recovery or business continuity that can actually deal with it. The times are changing, and we've really got to stay abreast of this particular situation. We do have to be careful how we implement artificial intelligence into our critical infrastructure, especially. We do have to make sure that we take security seriously, because if we don't do it, then there's going to be problems down the line. It's not like the world stage is going to get peaceful immediately and we're all going to be pretty cool and everyone's going to be cool with one another. It has not happened in many, many, many years. If anything, it's hotting up. So it's time for us to take this seriously, especially with government bodies. There's a lot of government bodies out there that are using very, very ancient technology. Come on. I appreciate it's expensive to update stuff. It's difficult sometimes to update stuff, especially if you're in a water treatment plant and you find that some of the key systems that you're using are absolutely ancient and don't work on modern, operating systems, or, there's all kinds of problems in that industry. But you've got to take it seriously, and you've got to engage with security people, security companies, in order to be able to protect that kind of environment, because you are a target. You might not think it's ever going to happen to you. Well, unfortunately, if you look historically at people who say things like, that'll never happen, they've usually been wrong. There was plenty of times when I used to use when I was delivering business continuity or disaster recovery training, a pandemic as an example of something that could happen. And you used to get all the comments of, well, that won't happen. Our modern medicine is great. Everything's working and everything's kind of cool and everything's brilliant. And nobody will ever have that kind of thing again. And then we have 2020 that happens, a pandemic. Now, what you feel about it, right or wrong, whether we've handled it correctly, whether we didn't handle it correctly, kind of showed a lot of organizations that, yes, things like that do come along. And when they do, they tend to be very damaging. Now, cyber warfare is going to be one of those things. If you're a health organization, maybe you're the national health, maybe the MOD, maybe you're one of the very, very, very important parts of our way of life, you've got to take security seriously. You've got to sit down with CISOs who know what they're doing and get them to help you do that. Get some good research going on what we can do going forward, what we can do now. Spend some of that money rather than giving it to shareholders like our local water company, spending absolutely nothing on fixing the actual infrastructure, to actually secure this infrastructure as well at the same time. Because it can all go very horribly wrong, very horribly quickly, as we discovered in Tunbridge Wells. It literally, 1 week of no water and there was bedlam outside. I mean, that's just one instance where cyber warfare wasn't involved. When the cyber war potentially comes, all of our utilities are going to be being hit on a regular basis as quickly as they can, as fast as they can, to try to destabilize, the public within that infrastructure. Maybe they'll also do something kinetic, but, that's for other people to deal with. I can't deal with that one. I can't help with that one. But we can, as security people, help secure our national infrastructure, the critical stuff that we all rely on. So if you've got any comments, feel free to put them into the comments section. It'll be interesting to hear what you think about this. But I feel very strongly about making sure that we actually do something about this and not sit around wondering, oh, yeah, we probably should do something, and never actually doing anything about it. Thank you very much. This is Razor Wire Raw. We'll be speaking to you again soon. Thank you very much.